G'day lads. Mangoal sent me this dash cam for free to review, and everything you see here is my honest opinion. I'm just going to unbox it now. Later on I'll install it properly and then we'll see how she performs. Alright, so little pamphlet there. Tells you how to connect it to your phone. Got a QR code for the app, I'd imagine. So no need to read that just yet. Couple of cable ties in there, a little manual by the looks of it. Hopefully it's in English. Yes, it is. Pretty actually I like the size of the book here. It's not those little tiny things that you got to get a phone, take a picture of everything that you want to read. You can actually read this. That's a plus. Oh right, package contents, we'll just leave that one open. That was a good flip. So we got, this is supposed to be front camera and rear camera. That looks like the rear camera right there. Got a long enough lead on it, and then I'll stick that anywhere I think is appropriate on the back window. And it comes with a little trim remover, and that plugs into the OBD port. That's going to be a problem for me. It even comes with a memory card. So it gets its power, accessory and earth from the OBD port. For most people, that's going to be okay. I have a scan tool that I've always got connected, so that's not going to work out for me. I'm going to have to do a modification on that. Comes with a memory card. It's like a 128 gig. Double-sided tape, the thing that goes on the front window, put the camera to clip onto. This is the front cam. That's for the rear camera. Looks like pretty simple. As to the power plug, that's going to go to the OBD2. That's going to go to the OBD2 port. And this here is GPS optional. Okay. Well, I want the GPS. I want it to tell me what speed I'm doing. So that's something that I will have to buy separately. And I'm going to give my honest review on it. That's what they asked me to do, if I could install it and give a review. Now the rear camera is going to be the easiest, but at the same time the hardest, because I'm going to do the proper job with this, and I'm going to pull out seats and carpet and so forth if I have to, or maybe I'll go along the door lining. I'll decide that as I'm installing it. So it says here that you get a charging cable, that's what it is. Your camera, cable tie, and the TF card, rear camera, and the manual. That's all there. The most important part right now is not going over this, it's getting it installed. Then we can go over the manual, whatever, the features and so forth. So we'll just put all this back together here right now. It actually says on here the model of it, which is a MG032D 1BA Falcon. Fits for Ford Falcon build 2000. Well, mine is a 2000, but it's not a BA. I might just do at the very end of the video some screenshots of this here, and any parts of the manual I think is important that somebody might need to look back onto later on if they get the same one and lose the book. The important information will be available online. I've got a whole video that is after this clip here if you want to keep on watching for me installing it into the AU Falcon. But basically this is how it looks. It's got double-sided tape, goes on, stays nice and firm. It's got the cover there that goes over the top. The memory card goes in the side. I've always thought with dash cams it'd be so much better if you could put a dongle in there, just a short dongle, so it's something that's easy to take out and move into the camera. But I haven't seen a dash cam yet that does that. They're all these little micro cards, so that just tucks in behind there. Now it doesn't come with a GPS, so I bought one myself to put in, which I'm going to do in a moment, and I'll show you the footage of before and after that so you can see what's on the display. So that's easy enough. It just tucks in underneath there, comes in the channel, and I've put it in the channel properly, like I've taken everything away. I could just simply like take away the side here and just tuck it in, but I've actually gone right through the process of installing it solid. And then it comes down, which you then plug into the OBD2. For the average user, they'll just plug straight into that. Off you go. If your data port doesn't support accessories in the port, you flick that little switch over so it becomes 24-hour mode all the time. The reason why I wired in my own, which you'll see in the footage if you keep watching it, so I can have the accessories mode for parking mode, and that the camera's using less power while the car's not running. I just prefer that rather than 24-hour surveillance mode. I really don't know how much power it draws. I just like the more power it draws while the car's not running, the higher chance of a flat battery, especially if you've got a battery that's not so great. And the rear dash cam just goes on like that. Now I didn't know when I was putting it in which way was up, basically. You know, if I had installed it, would I see upside down footage? Guess that wouldn't really matter because you can just flip it around, but I made sure before sticking it to the window that it was facing the right way around, and so that's the correct way to face it around there. That shadow you see is an old sticker that was on the other side. And so that's just coming like the front window. The wire comes down the side here. Now you could just take this side here out and just feed it through, but again, you know, through here. What I did was I took the seat out and ran it through properly, then go over here. Same with the front part here, as the cable's right down, so you can put all the carpet layer and everything back over. It's tucked in behind there, you can see that there. But you know, you could just fit it underneath there, if you really wanted to make it a real simple job, all the way around there. So I've got mine coming underneath here. I've gone right through the process of pulling everything apart, installing it properly, and up through here. And that's pretty much it. Now from the outside, I mentioned this on my install process, I don't like how that is a light grey. That would have been better black. And from the rear, it's really hard to tell that there's a camera there. It kind of hides really well, and that's what I want. And like you can see on the back one, when I go up close, that's black, so it blends. You can't tell that there's a camera there. It would have been nice if the front was the same. Now using the software itself, the application, I have to go in and turn off mobile data, leave Wi-Fi on. I'll have to select the Wi-Fi I want to go to, so I'm going to have to turn the ignition on, turn the fans off. You hear the camera there, power up. Most of the time it says, there it goes, start recording. So it's good to know that, and the Wi-Fi will show up. With the Wi-Fi, this part here got me because the first time I installed the camera, the area I was in had a lot of Wi-Fi saying Wi-Fi and a bunch of numbers, and I couldn't work out which one was for the dash cam to start off with. This part here, I would have liked it if I could change it, but I can't. That's something I think that basically any dash cam mob should set up, because when setting up the dash cam for the first time, you want to find the correct Wi-Fi to go to. So we're going to connect to that. So now that we're connected there, we'll just go done. I'll go back to the screen. And now ASDome is the app. There's two different apps you can install. ASDome is the one I just chose. and straight away we've got the device there. So I'm just going to connect to that, and it's recording. If I want to go rear view camera, I just click on switch camera and go behind, and it shows me what's behind me, still recording. If I want to go to the Dashcam album, I've got to stop recording. Now this is something that I would like changed, is that if I don't do anything, or if I'm in here too long, like if I'm going through these files, it's going to start recording again and I have to start over. So if we go just to have a look at some footage, say I wanted to get that footage there, I'm like, okay, cool, I like that, and so we want to download it, and again the download process is pretty slow, but I have mine set on record 3 minutes. It'll be quicker download if you set it to 1 minute or 2 minute. I just like to have longer video sessions recorded. So it's actually quicker than the other 2 dash cams that I've got, the download speed. I'd still be waiting for the other one, so that's pretty good. And same story with the rear view camera. It's switched that over, now it's going to start recording again. I would like it to be recording when I tell it to record, because I'm still busy in the app itself looking around. But anyway, so we'll go stop again, and we'll just have a look at the different options. So obviously mute recording, say the camera is not recording anything I say right now, have it on, so it is. I would prefer any audible content in the car was recorded as well, so that way it was all done. And there you go, see, I spoke too long, it timed out, started recording again. Okay, so if I want to change the resolution, I go stop recording, change the resolution, and I've got it on the maximum right now for video purposes, so you can see how clear it is. My other 2 dash cams were really clear, I was happy with them, but this is crispier. It is actually a lot better. The contrast and so forth is better, so I'm really happy about that. So I want to go into settings, going to go stop recording, I'm going to go into settings, and then here you can set everything yourself. So your video resolution again. If I'm in here too long, it's going to kick me out and go back to start recording. Picture, I leave it on 12 megapixel because I want the best picture that's taking. Loop recording, of course, but that's, I've got it on 3 minutes. Like I said, you could have it on 1 or 2 minutes. I prefer to have longer video periods to download. I don't know what WDR is. Exposure, if you want to play settings for exposure, I haven't. Audio recording obviously is on. G sensor is how sensitive you want. Say somebody walks past your car, bumps your car, whatever. I've got mine on medium. Not really too sure if I'll change that to high or low. At the moment, I'm happy to have it on medium. Picture to picture. Not really too sure what that means. Front camera, rear camera. So I've got to stop recording again to go back into settings. So we'll go back down to what G sensor, picture to picture is where we're at. So let's go back to that. So we're on rear camera, but nothing changes in here. So I don't think that really has anything to do with there. I'm not really too sure what that's supposed to do. Movie guards, we'll just have a quick look. It's on medium. We'll have to go through the manual to have a look at what all these are. Movie park. My car never parks anywhere for longer than 12 hours or even longer than 8 hours before I drive the car again. So that's why I've got mine on 12 hours. If you're parking somewhere at an airport, I guess you'll change it to 24 hour. Trumpet audio, that's the inside audio. So you can hear the dash cam talking to you when it says start recording and so forth. And on its maximum setting, it's not that loud. So that's why I've got it on 100. So where we're at, so date and time, obviously you'd want that on the camera. Synchronized time, that automatically synchronizes with the phone once you've connected. SD card tells you what size it is, you can format it there. If you go to Wi-Fi, you got the name, but you can't change the name. It'd be nice if I could go in there and change the name to something. Actually, I think I might be able to, I didn't think I could. So if I get rid of that, and then put in, can I save that? I go back, no. So I can't change the name, even though it lets me go to there. I can't change it. That'd be nice if I could. Give it a name that I'm familiar with. And again, the camera started recording, kicks me out of settings. I've got to stop recording, go back to settings. I find that to be annoying. And then you got your firmware. The dash cam is installed, how easy it is. Plug it into your OBD2 port, flick it over to 24-hour time if you have to. It just sticks into place. You can have the entire cameras installed in under half an hour, and off you go. You've got footage of proof and so forth. You can feel safer about driving if someone's going to be an idiot in front of you or an accident happens, that you've got yourself covered. If I was to go full screen mode now, which the camera's going to tilt on me, I can actually just go wide view there. I don't really know why I'd want to on the screen like that, but it's an option. You can take photo. So if I want to, one of them, on the dash cam itself, I press it, it takes a photo. But we'll have a look at videos first. So we're going to stop recording. And if we go to videos, or to the album, and the first one that comes up is event. And if this is a good one to show you, because this is what happens when the not turned on, and I'm opening up the roller door here.
Start emergency recording.
So as it starts an emergency recording. You heard me say what happened there is because I was wondering why the camera said start emergency recording. Is because the roller door was opening, and so the dash cam automatically thought there was an accident. So you have to go stop again, go back to the album, and go video, and I'll just pick up one to play with. That'll do.
Okay, start recording.
Easy peasy. Right, so a bit of an update. You can change the name to the Wi-Fi. I thought you couldn't, but after editing the video or working on the video, I realized that it had actually timed out while I was trying to change the name. Go on the settings, and I'm going to go to Wi-Fi. I already changed it, but I didn't change it give it a proper name. So I'm going to go Wi-Fi, go up to here, and I'm going to call it ASDome. And then in the top right hand corner, go complete. Now it's going to disconnect me. That was just in time, I think. So not connected now. So now I need to go to the Wi-Fi. And so now I can connect to the Wi-Fi ASDome. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 is the standard password. Now I'll go back to the app, and I'll connect to the one that says ASDome, and I know which one it is. And the reason why I chose to do that is because the app that I got to go into is called ASDome. Now let's say that I drive around for the next 3 months, 4 months, whatever, and then something happens and I want to go back to the app. I'm not going to remember what the app was called, being called ASDome. I would have been thinking, what's the name of that app again? You know, how do I get access back to the dash cam? So that's why I called it that. For someone like me, that's handy to know that you can change the Wi-Fi name. Just remember, you've got to do it quickly before the dash cam times out and starts recording again, otherwise it won't save. All right, let's continue. Okay, so now I'll install this GPS. I'll just open the packet here, get that out already. Okay, it's a good thing that it comes with this, because my first thought was to put it on the windscreen in the corner there, but it says not to install it on the dash instead. So that's what we'll do. I have a dash mat, so I'm going to have to put it probably underneath the corner over here. So I might have to just give that a wipe down so it can actually stick. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to run this wire, just going to tuck it in underneath here for now. I wasn't really planning on this. I thought I was going to just tuck it straight away underneath here and just have the GPS in the corner up here. But I'll put it where it's recommended, and I'll just put this in and get it connected. Okay, so with the wire untucked, you can see that's where the GPS connects into. So more than enough wire to run it around, which is excellent. I just got a bit of mess to things right now because I want to install that properly. So I'm going to take all this apart later on and run it down the channel properly. Go back into the app. Of course, I've got to get to the correct Wi-Fi. Now, I don't know if it's showing me on screen here what I want to see, but I want to see what speed I'm doing when the video is being recorded. If I go wide view, will that show me? I can't maximize that, but I'm pretty sure in the bottom corner there, it shows me more information now of what speed and so forth I'm doing. Oh, it's got miles per hour. So let's go into settings. Oh, you can change it to kilometers. Perfect. The positives outweigh the negatives. It is an app. The app can be improved. If the app could have a time limit of maybe 5 minutes before it started recording, would be better, in case you forgot to press record. If it waited until you press recorded, or the next time you restart your car, that it started recording, instead of it automatically kicking back every 20 seconds or something. If you're interested in watching me installing it, the process I had to go through with installing an OBD2 port so I could still have my scan tool connected and an additional port. Also, I didn't know at the time that I could have flicked over the switch from parking mode to 24-hour mode. So, you know, you won't need to go through what I went through of having to wire up an accessory wire, because you can just flick that switch across. So in the event of something happening, you've gone to the app, you've saved the footage to your phone, and you're wondering where the footage is located. So you're going to want to go to internal storage, then you're going to look for movies, then you're going to go to the cn.com Blackview Asdome, then you're going to go to this Lingdu, and then movies is supposed to be the front dash cam for everything that you saved, and the RO is the rear dash cam. But I have found that on the movie, the rear and the front both save to here, and just randomly for some reason saves into there. So anyway, that's where you find the files if you're looking for them on your phone. So this is what you can expect when you put the memory card into your computer or laptop. So you got the movie is for front view camera, and you're only getting part of the page there. I'll bring that back down here. So if I go back a step, and this is for rear camera. So same, there's a lot of footage there, so you get everything. I'll show you before and after footage as well of before and after I installed the GPS, so you can see the different numbers on the bottom and how it looks different. And I don't think the rear view camera shows GPS details, but yeah, I didn't expect it anyway. Okay, so with emergency mode, this one here, I'm going to click on it, but I'm going to speed through more than halfway so it doesn't give away the location of my house.
Start emergency recording.
But for some reason, emergency recording does exactly this. It's fast forward, and it's the whole trip. It's not just like 10, 15 seconds or maybe a minute of recording for emergency recording. It's the whole lot, from the point of when I left the driveway to the point I turned the car back off. Kind of like watching a Benny Hill show. I just didn't expect that. I don't know what the purpose of that is, but anyway, it is what it is. And we'll go back a bit, and this is also for emergency, but this is for front of the camera. So I'll show you a bit of footage now of before the GPS and after the GPS. I don't think the rear view camera is going to be any different, but I'm not going to play it from the memory card because it kind of lags. So I'll set it up properly, and then I'll show you this footage now. You know, getting on the roads these days, I reckon a dash cam is a must-have. Compared to my other dash cams, I have found Mangoal to be very reliable. And this dash cam actually looks like it's part of the car, the way it fits around the rear view mirror. The cables tuck away nicely. It fits the car like an original part. It's easy to install and it looks good. And honestly, now that I've got the dash cam installed, I'm not going to remove it. I like how it looks. It looks part of the car. Using the dash cam audio right now so you can hear what that sounds like. I'm only going to use 1080p resolution, but I don't like each to their own. I find that with the 1080p everything is bigger, and so for me that's easier to see, you know, on the dash cam speed. Having the larger resolution for me is better. Guess that comes with age. What I'm doing right now is I'm just experimenting with where I'm going to put this. So the mount is going to have to go here. Now I've already had a look at the camera, which I'll show you. I can go all the way up with that, and it's not going to interfere with the rear view mirror. First of all, once I clean this up, I'm going to use 2 hands to line that up the best I can so there's no gaps, and then I'll press it on, and that'll be the first part of this, doing this right now, so that has time to dry and so forth before I go putting the camera on. Now the camera is another thing. Once this goes on, you can have a look at these clips here. They're made so they don't come back off, so they're not like how can I explain it, they're not shaped like a clip down and then a little bit of a edge on them so you could take the camera back off later on. It's, if I can get a good angle on that, they're a sharp clip there, so once that camera clips on, that's it, it's on. You'd basically get a screwdriver in between this plate here and the cam and twist to pop it back off, but you'd have to use a bit of pressure to unclip them again. But you'd have to do all 4 individually, because if you undo the two top and then pull down to unclip those 2, you'd break them. So you'd have to be careful with that. And I dare say with the heat and so forth over age, because that's the side that's going to be to the sunlight, so this is going to get pretty brittle. After a year or so, you don't want to take the camera off anymore. And the bottom of the camera, which I didn't show in the beginning of the video, so you got a picture of a camera and power. I'll get this on. I'm going to clean the surface of the front window with methylated spirits. That's what I happen to have on hand, and methylated spirits is for glass cleaning amongst other things. And get all this stuff off from the old dash cam, clear that area up, and we'll get that on the best I can. While that's sticking and drying, before I go putting the camera on, I'll run the camera from the back now and through the side of the car. Right, the rear view camera mount can come separate to the camera, so you can get this on first, but thankfully I can unplug this, and I'll do it with 2 hands in a second, don't want to damage anything, and then I can put this mount on the window, and I'm going to put this mount on right now so it can start drying as well, and then I'll start running the lines. Now I read on that little tag, which I probably should have read first, but I thought it was just going to, I overlooked it and I thought it was just instructions on making sure that, make sure earth surface is clean before sticking, but that's not what it says. It says please make sure the screen is not upside down before installation, which means in the app you don't have the option to flip that around, so that means this has to go on one particular way, which now means that I have to install the rest of the camera first, and which isn't going to be a big problem just for testing, but I do have to plug it all in, get power to it, and find out which way is the right way, because there's no pictures on here to say which side is up. So I can't just go sticking that mount on right now, because that this side here is the camera slides into there, but there's a lip on it that makes sure that the camera can only slide in one way, so you can't reverse it. And there's one other thing that I didn't know, and I'll show you that right now. That's how it's going to look from the outside. That would have been better off if it was black, so it wouldn't have been so noticeable. That's going to stick out like a sore thumb. People are going to see that something's there. I would have preferred this would have been further up here, so behind that black mesh stuff, if you can see it. That way would have been more discreet, or if that was black it would have been even better. But it is what it is right now, so it's going to stay like that. I might get a sticker later on, put over the top, just to camouflage that a little bit. So first of all, I've got to remove my scan tool, which I always have connected, and plug this little guy in. And this is not going to get power straight away, because my wiring here is also custom, that only gets power when the car's on. Where does it go on? This way? Yeah, that way. Okay, so that's not going to do anything at the moment. If it's supposed to, because like I said, that's wired in, so when my ignition turns on, then that plug gets power. Unlike probably every other car on the planet, mine, I customize my wiring. Right, so I got the rear cam mounted like that, so I'm going to have to remove my All Falcons Club sticker from the back there for the cam to view back through the back. What I didn't notice yesterday was there's an extra M3 bit of tape to go on that mount if you mess up the first time. And there is an arrow on the mount itself that points up, which I guess that means that's the way the camera's got to be installed. That's not how I understood it, but now that we know, and this is with the same deal, tucking it up behind here when I get to that point. We need to remove this trim first, and I'd say the BA Falcon is probably the same. We've got to get rid of that rubber, take this trim off. Now you can see how I have this line coming through for the old dash cam. Comes around, don't just tuck it in here, because then you'll find that the line, the power line keeps dropping down. You've got to feed it in and around and come around this side, like that. So it kind of like tucks into this corner here and stops this part from dropping down. So we're just gonna now just unfeed that there, and I'll remove my line first. So we need to, now I know this part of the BA Falcon is the same, well not exactly the same, but it has a side cover on it as well that we need to take off. Now you need to be careful with this. More so for the BA Falcon, because this is a lot of plastic here for the BA, and it's very brittle over age. Okay, so I might as well work from front to back since I'm already here. That's had plenty of time to stick on and do its thing. So let's put that on there. Okay, that's clipped in. Memory card's already in, that's why you can hear it saying record. And put these wires in. There's a few wires here. So we've got the reverse camera and so forth that we need to just tuck up. Now I'm just gonna loop it in behind here like I did with the other wire from my old cam. And what I've done here is I've just cable tied it all the way along, because I just know that if I try and stick a whole bunch of wires up there, I'm going to have one that's going to be dropping down occasionally. Having them all together like that is going to prevent that from happening. And because you've got the connections here all coming into the same spot, that's going to be a bit chunky. That's going to go behind there and it's going to stay there. I'm not going to need anything to support that, but I might have to push it a bit further back because the roof lining is kind of being pushed down there. So I'm just going over here, behind there. My roof lining has to be replaced soon. Got a bit of sagging happening, but it's okay. So you can see right here, that's where it's, as soon as I put that behind, it comes down a little bit. We'll push it further back. Yeah, if you push it further back, that's okay. Alright, so that's looking good there. And like, to me, you know, you're going to look at it and like, okay, can't see that, that's fine. But you can clearly see it on the outside. But okay, so far so good. We've got that in there now, cable tied up. Going to bring this down, run it to the back. Okay, so right now I could just bring that in there. So if you take the rubber off, it gets between there. I'm pretty sure the BA would be the same. And you could bring it down, and then I could hide it behind the rubber, come in behind here, and then tuck it in behind underneath like this. You got the cable hanging there, tuck it in underneath there. Makes it for a pretty simple, quick installation. Then I'd have to get behind that there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this so I can get behind underneath the carpet, because I want to get under the carpet. And I'm going to remove the center part as well, because I want it to be a permanent fixture in this car. Looks like it's going to be a good unit, so I don't ever plan on replacing it. I haven't heard anything from the All Falcon Club for a very long time, so I don't even know if they exist anymore. So we'll get rid of that. I can always put a different sticker a little bit lower. Alright, so I've got the rear camera now ran with the wire coming behind the back. That was no problem, not like the front. That just sat behind there nice and comfortably. Coming down here, same sort of deal. It's coming over here because it needs to go over the loop of that corner there. If I go around here, the wire's only going to drop down. I've had previous experiences with running wires through there. That's why when this is over here, this clip is going to go in there to stop that from sliding down, prevent that wire falling down. And all I do is just pull that off, put that back on. I did pull the back seat out because I was going to originally take this off, which is a 10mm bolt behind here to bring it up the inside there. But I just noticed today that the material is coming off this, so I'm going to have to address that as well, stick the back seat properly back together. So for now, well, it can stay like that. I've just tucked it in behind there, running it down, and it's coming in underneath the carpet over here. Underneath, getting behind there is easy because you can see through to the other side. The camera can see that, so you can see through to the other side, so that's easy enough to feed that through there. So this can go back on already. So far I've probably spent about 20 minutes installing this, so it's pretty easy. I don't know if I mentioned, but because the back window is tinted, I cleaned that area where I'm sticking to with water only, water and paper towel. Just gave it a good scrub in that area. If I was to put a chemical on there that's got ammonia or something in it, I'll bugger up my tint, and I don't want to do that. So, you know, the tint was laid probably about 6 years ago, but it's still good. It's not bubbling or anything. Okay. Same with the front part here, as the cable's right down, so you can put all the carpet layer and everything back over. It's tucked in behind there. You can see that there. Put these clips back on. I have to do that 2 hands, just like that there. So now the cable's very nice and hidden there. Doesn't need to be anything special up here. Before I go too far into putting this back together, I'm just going to do this part of the trim here to make sure that I haven't made it too tight here, that I can actually, oh no, she's okay. I was just able to pull it up a little bit, so we're good. But something to be mindful of anyway, that when you're pulling it through, make sure that all this is a bit loose so you can put the trim and everything back on. Okay, so no wiring needed, like if that's all you're doing. That tucked in behind there easily, like there's enough room to fit that past the fuse there, a fuse box rather. I didn't have to take anything loose there. That plugs in. Fuse box cover will go straight back on that, and this cover will go straight back on here. And I've just wound this up, the power lead, cable tied it off, so keep it nice and tidy. Install's done. Didn't take long at all. I'm just going to leave the remainder, probably cable tie that into a little bundle, but leave that underneath the back seat. Goes around the front quite nicely, so you can't see it. It's going into the trim and everything. It's all tidy. I'm going to put this fuse box cover back on. All kind of sorta. Yeah. So that might be a little bit of a problem. See how it's, you can see here that if that was not cut out, that there might be a problem there, because it does want to go past where the fuse box cover goes. The easiest solution would be just drilling a small hole through here, putting a little screw, that little bit, but that's no big deal. And for those who don't know, the reason why it's cut out, so I generally have my scan tool sticking out there. Alright, now that I've got this OBD2 ports arrived, I've trimmed off all the ones that I'm not going to use, kept the 3 wires that I want to use, and I think I found the reason why I'm having such a problem is that this is only getting power and earth when the car is running, but it's not getting that always power, which I assume that's what it's supposed to be. And So I'm going to run my own wire for that, because it's the only thing that makes sense. Now if you look at the plug in here, where you can see a bit of wire exposed, you've got yellow, black and red. Well, the yellow is this end one, and the earth is that one there. And that one would have to be power all the time for parking, monitoring and so forth. And I think that's probably why when I'm driving and so forth, it intermittently just cuts out and then comes back in. Okay, I need to backtrack that a little bit. The original wire is always live or always active. Because I've rewired it for my OBD2 port, that this is only active when the accessories is on. That's why I thought that was an accessories, and that must have been always active. Same deal, there's going to be power when the car's running, but I just need to think that other way around. So that's going to be always active. So that's going to go into that. I'm going to solder this in a minute. It's going to go to there, and this is the wire that I added. So there's only power there. That's accessories. That's always live, and I'll jump in the earth in a minute. But I just want to solder those points there up. Right now the rain isn't getting me, but it sounds like it's picking up. So hopefully I can finish this first. And anyone that does car stereos understands that yellow is always active, red is accessories, black is earth. So I'm going by that. Just over the years experience of wiring, that's what it is. So that's how I'm wiring it up. So now I've got power all the time on this, and it's a great way to test it with the scan tool. So I've definitely got the earth and power and everything in the correct spots. I knew I did, but it's always good to have that reassurance. When I plug it into my standard OBD, so it doesn't turn on, because I've got that set up for when I turn the ignition on. So that's only on when the car's running. That's why I had it wired that way in the first place. Changed my mind. I decided I'll just tuck it in there. Easy to take out and move it around rather than bolting it up. I can just take that out easy and work behind there if I need to again. Hopefully this is the last time I go behind here. For accessories, that when you plug this in, which most of the time is close to the fuse box, so if you had another wire coming off for accessories, that if you plug it in and there's a problem, then you can plug that wire that's coming off manually into the accessories fuse or something. Now everything's happy, and the dash cam is coming alive every now and again when that's off. Now I've got my scan tool working how that should go. That's working how it should. I can put everything back together. Just got one more wiring to do for my UHF radio. See, it just said started recording, but the car's off. That's what was happening to me while I was driving. It'll record for about 3 minutes and then turn off. Sometimes it'll record for 10 minutes and then turn off. And that was what the problem was I was having. So it's not the dash cam at fault at all. It's the plug that's missing the accessory wire to tell it to stay awake once you've started the car, or once you've put the accessories on at least. And unlike me, if you paid closer attention, that little switch on the side is for accessories and 24 hour, not 12 volt and 24 volt like I had assumed and just ignored it. That's just lack of paying attention on my behalf. So I'm going to put a few things in the description, like the website where the dash cam's from and the PDF now. The beginning of the video is basically the end of the video played first. Appreciate you being here. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.